Those other belief systems that come into play, one of them is really strong where our kids feel like the teachers don't like them. And, teachers, you might actually just think that Billy's the best kid in the world just because you admire his uniqueness. There's something about Billy that you really love about him, but he still can believe that you don't like him. There's a paranoia that can be able to develop because that's sort of the environment that they came out of for many of our kids. Teacher likes everyone except me. And here's the hardest one, I think, for all of us to really comprehend is that truly a lot of our kids believe I don't deserve to be on this planet. Parents, the next time you're sitting down with your child to do some work, some homework, it can be even something like going out in the backyard and trying to do a cartwheel or just trying something new that's a bit of a challenge. And if you find that they're resistant, I want you to stop and say, you know what? Something tells me that you don't feel okay about who you are. Do you feel like sometimes you don't even deserve to be on this planet? Now that may seem very harsh and very cruel almost, but I would guess a huge percent of your kids would say, yeah, I don't deserve to be on this planet. Like they'll just come out and say it. When you can reach our Billies down to the crux of the issue, it's almost like a relief to them that finally someone gets them. I want you to talk straight. I don't want any more fluffy talk with our kids because a lot of that makes them frustrated because they're like, well, no one really gets me. I mean, eventually we need to tell our kids, yes, you're smart. Yes, you can do it. Yes, I believe in you. But in those moments when that big ugly monster comes up that tells them that they're not okay, if you contradict them and tell them, no, you really are okay, you really are smart, you're contradicting, you're stuck back into an argument. All right, here's another question for you all, parents and teachers and school personnel. How many of you all, maybe you've been on a one-on-one conversation with a child and you've gotten into that where the kid says, well, I can't do it. And you say, well, of course you can. I saw you yesterday do it. You're really good at this. And they're like, no, I can't. And you're like, yeah, you are. You're really good. And all of a sudden, you found yourself completely wrapped up into an argument. Because that's very easily happening. You're trying to be positive, trying to be connecting, and all of a sudden, before you know it, you're in a battle. You're in an argument. How many of y'all have had that experience? Especially with children who seek conflict. Listen, there are kids who seek peace, and there are kids who seek conflict. Well, I think that just goes for our general population as human beings. People who seek conflict. A lot of what Billy does is seek conflict. That may be his personality or her personality, but also I think trauma pulls that out of kids. And so this may be a kid that anything you say, there's going to be conflict around it. It doesn't matter if it's positive or negative. That's why we got to start giving it back to them, getting into them taking on what they want to believe. Okay, so I'm just going to roll right into affirmations and mantras. And as you see, page 63 in Help for Billy will help you work through this. So leading from the idea of belief systems, if that's how strong they are and their resistance to believing that they're smart, their resistance to believing that they're okay. Because quite frankly, it does make sense, right? If they came from an environment where they never felt like they did anything right, let's say, especially the ones that were abused or neglected, which is sort of indifference, which is a really hard thing for kids to feel like if someone ignores you, well, then you really would come to the belief that you don't deserve to be on this planet. And, it's all very logical why our kids got to these beliefs. But as we work with them, we've got to understand this happened for a reason. They didn't just at conception believe that they weren't okay. Do they ever get past the conflict? I think that they do. It's a process. That's one of those things that's not going to go away in 2 weeks. It's not going to go away in 6 months. I reflect on my own child, my son, as I answer that question. I have to sort of, smile as I talk about that because from the moment that I adopted my son at 2.5, most of y'all know my kids are adopted, and this can be for a biological kid as well. But from the moment I adopted my kid at 2.5, there was a power struggle, an absolute power struggle, and arguments. And now he just turned 21 a couple weeks ago, and he's finally coming around where he doesn't argue. And he's learned to say, Mom, I may not agree with you, but I still want to understand your perspective. And I think that when he said that the other day, I was like, oh, that's a huge milestone. He still is going to argue, but he's learned to say it in a way that he actually does want my opinion now. So I don't mean to like, that's probably bad news. I went from 2.5 years old to 21. That's a long time span, but do they ever get past it? Yeah, but we have to teach them.